SWFTC, or as I'm going to call it, Swiftcoin, has a large potential customer base, and it's been in the game for a long time, since like 2018. So, what's holding it back from a $1 billion plus valuation? Well, stick around, you can find out. And if you're new to the channel, we cut through the hopium, look at the data, present the facts, and throw them in the trusty model. Swift is one of the first bridges on any smart contract that allows you to swap between 50 different blockchains. And that used to be a pain back during the ICO days of 2017, 2018. And it was a major problem, I'd say, even before this cycle. Now, real quick, I'm going to give you guys a bonus for a couple of you. I'd like to get to know my viewers a little better. So I'm offering 5 slots for office hours, some in the morning, some at night, so different time zones can make it. It'll be about 10 minutes long where you can just ask me questions and we can kind of get to know each other. So click the link in the description, book the Calendly, and we'll do a little Zoom call. Swift has both a mobile and web wallets and also an enterprise solution. As we talked before, enterprise solutions are great, allows you to give your product to a lot more potential customers. Now, their revenue comes from a self-reported 10 million transactions a day across 20,000 daily active users. But the problem with that is I didn't see that in their block scans. And because they're centralized, you don't get as much information as a DeFi platform, unfortunately. As far as their team, it's run by Ramble Lamb, who seems to be very well connected, but the community doesn't fare as well. Telegram is full of spammers, and my bug on their Twitter is it just seems to be all kind of promotional posts, not much about development. And while they have Draper Dragon as one of their financial backers, they really haven't brought on many additional backers, and they haven't been able to perform as well as their competition. You got Quant as example. It's got a market cap about 32 times higher, and even Trust Wallet, who's pretty much in the same space as these guys, has a market cap 10 times that of Swift currently. And while I think they've got some room to run this cycle, we'll look at the numbers here in a minute. Their centralized model will hurt investor interest as transactions increase. Investors aren't going to be able to see that happening. And the lack of innovation over the last bear cycle is really going to hurt adoption by users. Now let's take a look at the model. And speaking of the model, there are a couple bad actors out there saying some mean things to the model, saying how could the model predict a migration announcement on an AMA? And honestly, I'm glad you're mean to the model. Got a little bit of an ego after the PBR call. But in all seriousness, the model just throws in a bunch of data, gives you chances of different things happening because success or lack of success, it leaves clues, and we can use those clues to kind of figure out what the chances are of these projects being successful. And just remember, it is just a tool. So don't make your decisions based off what the model says, but use them as points to investigate further. So looking at the model, this is my pro forma basically of what I think the current multiplier is based off a $25 transaction amount and about half the middle of the fees there, 0.15%. So with those assumptions, we get less than a half times market revenue to market cap, which is pretty disappointing. And if you look at the projections, we've got under the same assumptions, just changing the multipliers here and then adding a little bit of additional transactions, which I don't think their transactions are properly reported. So I take these numbers with a huge grain of salt. I think they're more in the 200 to 300,000 range right now. So be careful with those numbers. And the multipliers are pretty low, and I think that's because the wallet space especially is kind of a maturing market. And since this project is older with older technology, centralized, not decentralized, I think it deserves a lower multiplier here. And if we come down and look at the scores, it's got a speculative potential of about 70%. So I don't think it's got a ton of exciting things to make it run. It gets knocked on its outdated technology mostly. And its staying power, I think, is high. They've got team in 9 countries, and I think they'll keep operating. But the reputation score does get a knock for their community or lack thereof. And I showed you the bottom and peak bull cases before based on current market caps. That's a 12x and a 57x. I just say be careful with these numbers because without investor excitement, transparency, or adoption by new customers, I think the peak bull case is going to be very, very hard to hit. So I'm bullish or bearish on the peak bull case. I think it could definitely do the bottom case. But as always, I think there's better places to put your money. But obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. That is your decision. But even if this project isn't for you, check out one of my other project reviews on the screen right now. And thanks for watching.